Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. And somebody is insisting on speaking to me exactly when the show starts. I'm going to ignore the phone and let it take a message because I get a lot of weird phone calls with threats because people don't want this information to get out there. A lot of people want for those veils across your third eye to stay there. That way, they can do all sorts of things that they know how to do that you cannot even imagine that they could do, and you never have a clue. So we're going to be putting on our all of our social media um, a post asking everybody. So here I'm asking all of you. We need everybody to do a mantra that is, please God help us with our intention um, to overcome the Cuban mafia so that they stop doing black magic on our third eye. When I say our third eye, it's my third eye plus the followers, which are the mantristas. They also don't want for this chat to exist, to continue. They don't want for you to listen. So you might want to contribute by doing that mantra. And the more people that do the mantra, the quicker we can take them down. They have not accepted that we are in end times, we're in revelations, that everything that they've done, them and everybody else, is coming out. It definitely is a time to repent. Um, but more than that, it's a time to look at ourselves and to find out whatever darkness we have inside of ourselves and to deal with it. Because there was a very good reason that if you have darkness, and we all do, there was a good reason why you did that. A really good reason. And it wasn't just because you're a bad person at all. But I'm not going to get into that today. Today, we are witnessing at an incredible speed the collapse of the paradigm in this part of the world, at least, having to do with basically everything. Let's talk about what is health. We're not going to talk about the medical mafia because there's plenty of people talking about that now. And there's so many people talking about it that I think that this time, basically, perhaps we're going to have to confront stuff that has been done. I'm going to talk about um, the simplicity that we need to return to, not because complicated and modern is bad, but simply because if you want to get really effective, you cannot limit yourself to what is modern. You have to, throughout history, things have worked. And humans have basically the same body, the same assemblage of bodies, and also the same intentions: being happy, being prosperous, the family being okay, being healthy. Why did we stop looking at the things that have worked forever? So let's go into what is the plague. We all know what I'm talking about when I say the plague. In the Middle Ages, during the plague, they would put garlic outside the front door because they believed it helped. Well, garlic has sulfur in it, and sulfur protects against spirits. The plague and spirits, I think we're like 2 centimeters away from everybody finding out that any disease that you have, any condition, anything that moves, that like the wind didn't move it, or that kind of grows on its own, like mold, parasites, there's some kind of consciousness there. And we need to look at, being at the today, we haven't been really effective at dealing with this. I see that ivermectin now they're promoting that you can just go online and you can buy it. You don't need a prescription. If they give it to horses to deworm, why on earth would you have to have a prescription to have it for a human? And why is it that you're reacting and going, well, but that's for a horse? Guess what? In Europe, race horses and pedigreed animals are given the same flower essences and homeopathic remedies as are given to human beings. Well, that's in Europe. You know what? That's the problem. You need to widen your lens because what you have here is maybe not so great. It's being revealed. So last night we had a really fun time in our chat in Spanish at 8:15. We went into the whole thing with the sulfur and garlic. And so everybody started, I said, everybody go to your kitchen. They're all Hispanic practically. So we all have more garlic than you can shake a stick at. They all came back on the chat and they started putting garlic on different parts of their body. And they also started to share what their grandparents had taught them and their parents. And there's an awful lot of conditions that are totally cleared with garlic. Remembering that the first thing Jesus Christ did when somebody was sick was to cast out spirits. Garlic casts out spirits. I'm talking about everything from earaches to throat aches to cystitis to I can't remember. It was so much. We spent an hour laughing our heads off because what I did was I chose three of my followers that I know well, that I know that they're verbal, they can connect the dots, they don't play games. So I had all three of them. One of them had a piece of sulfur, which is a yellow stone. It's really beautiful. So she was holding it in her hand, and being it that the intention of sulfur is to deal with spirits. I could see, and I think she lives in Canada, and I'm here in Miami on the computer in the chat, just like I am with you. So I said, okay, hold it in your hand, your right hand, and then with remote viewing, I could see that the energy was going to her solar plexus. Well, it turns out that she has a cyst in her pancreas, which is in her solar plexus, and I believe she lost her gallbladder when she was really young, solar plexus. And it didn't look good in her solar plexus, but I didn't know these things. I only knew that the stone she had in her hand, the energy was going to give a healing on her solar plexus, which is where she really needs it. And then I had somebody else hold a piece of garlic. And I don't remember exactly where it was that I had somebody hold, I think it was a piece of garlic, but I'm not sure. It could have been the stone, but I think it's a piece of garlic. She held it. And I said, it's really weird. The garlic is going towards your cuticles. It turned out she lost all her toenails. The garlic, I didn't tell the garlic that. We didn't send the garlic any telegram. We weren't petitioning anything. She was just holding in her right hand, I believe it was a piece of garlic. I don't think it was the stone that's sulfur. And it went to exactly where she has an issue that she still hasn't figured out what the issue is. But obviously, if the energy from the stone went there, then it's a big spirit issues. Okay? So it was a fascinating hour. And the reason that I did that is because I believe that a lot of the things that we have not been allowed to know, to talk about, to integrate into our modern life, all of those restrictions are going to fall away. And the things that are good for us, we can now take advantage of, such as garlic. Now, there was somebody who won a Nobel Prize. I do not remember what it was, but he felt that we should shoot sulfur into the atmosphere and it was going to protect us from, I'm not exactly sure what it was. He won a Nobel Prize. Of course, that got shot down. And I don't remember what he was trying to protect from. The point of the matter is, in the Middle Ages, they didn't have our modern medicines that apparently now are killing us, but they put garlic outside their front door. Now, we teach, and in Judaism, they also teach it, you need to protect your front door from spirits. In Judaism, they have a little symbol that they put there. And I'm sure that half of the Jews don't even know what it's for. Basically, it's to protect from spirits from the underworld. And in the Middle Ages, they put garlic in the front door. And throughout history, I think when they find the tombs and ruins, etc., they find a lot of references to garlic. Why aren't we integrating garlic as a medicine? Why not? I'm going to repeat again. Modern medicine is less than 600 years old. Of 17 countries that were studied, and apparently are studied every year, about 17 countries, the most developed, their medical system, the country whose medical system is the most expensive is the United States. The country whose medical system is the least effective, has the most babies that die, and everything else that they use as their standards is the United States. So what we are using as medicine is not good for us. But I think the reason I'm getting onto this subject a lot is because I think things are going to get very bad very quickly. First place, too many people want to die. When people want to die, they kind of find a way. If that they're going to get sick. Too many of our young children don't know what the heck is going on in the world. Can we blame them? They want to die. Do they look like it? No. Do they talk about it? No. If you ask them, are they going to say yes? No. Look at the suicide rate. Plus, we have too much fire, and fire is what causes suicide. How can that be? If you get angry enough about things, but then you realize you cannot do anything, you just repress it. The anger is the fire, and then you repress it. And then you end up, this is never going to work. I want out of here. I want to die. And then whatever. So I think the health issue, I'm not the only one that says this, but I think the health issue is going to get totally out of control. So you need to be open. And I'm going to say here now that this alternative stuff in the other dimensions is a lot more fun. We had a lot of fun last night. And somebody in the chat is telling me that the person put the garlic in their belly button. Apparently, the belly button is a portal that doesn't close when they cut your connection with your mother. And we have been, part of our metaphysical SWAT team recommended that we put good energy in the belly button in terms of flower essences or homeopathy, particularly coconut oil. So we need to get off this thing with reverence for modern, reverence for convenience, a distrust of something that's old. And I think we have to look at science. What has science done to us? The definition of science in the dictionary is to observe and draw conclusions. Okay, we've been doing that for thousands of years. We observe what Jesus Christ did in the Bible. I'm not Christian or Catholic. We observe what he did, and nobody will deny, he first cast out spirits. And then you draw conclusions. We didn't draw the conclusion. Oh, so you're sick, there's spirits involved. Why don't we go ahead and do what Jesus Christ and shamanism does? Why don't we deal with that first? And we don't do that because we are not scientists, because we have to go to a university, needs to be a particular caliber, very expensive, before we actually are allowed to speak. And we cannot speak anything that will go against those that spoke before and have best-selling books and are very honored. So if we come in with something new, it gets kind of dangerous. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about, in this collapse of the paradigm, which is happening now, which is part of end times, we're going to see, and we're seeing a collapse of the medical establishment, the institution, the protocols. It's happening. Okay, so we have to substitute it. We can go on and on trashing it. I'm not going to trash it. I am going to say that in the process of what has been going on, medical doctors have completely lost their position in society. So before revelations about what was going on with the plague, they were already one of the groups that was committing the most suicide. And that is just going to get worse. This is not a good thing for us, but there's really nothing that we can do to save all of the people that were in positions in hierarchy, that were higher up. When this collapses, the values that kept these people up here are going to appear we're not going to understand it. Why were you so obedient? We criticized the Germans about that with the Second World War. Why have you been so obedient to the system? It's part of the system hierarchy. But there's going to be a big price to pay. I don't want that. What I want you to already be hooked on to the other dimensional stuff that's kind of fun. Like we had so much fun with the garlic. It turns out that they have soap made out of sulfur. It turns out that I have a friend in Peru that when she has difficult clients, what she does is she has 2 bars of sulfur. They're yellow. They're kind of interesting. She holds one in each hand in order to do a clearing. And I remember hearing about burning sulfur if things get really putrid in terms of energies to the other dimensions. And then always the thing, caveat, we have to be careful what you can also get a pan and you can put salt in it and pour alcohol in it and light it and walk it around the corners of the room. I had that the first time I saw that. I was visiting somebody and they gave me a big flower, like the kind you find up north. It's like a bulb and then one flower grows from it. And I put it next to my bed. So the next time I came to my bedroom, the flower had completely fallen over. And so I told the person, I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. And they went, oh, okay, let's give the room a clearing. And they did the thing with the salt and the alcohol, whatever. There's all sorts of modern things that you can do. And I have to tell you that one little stick of incense is not going to do it. That's so sweet, that little stick of incense. And the one that is used particularly in this country, it makes me laugh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It makes me laugh. I'll remember the name of it. But that particular incense is for you to have good communication with the spirit world. You know what? Why don't we communicate later? Let's first clear out the bad spirits. Because people tell me that, oh no, I use sage. I use sage all the time. Great communication with the spirit world. How about if we get the bad guys out of here? It's a lack of knowledge. The other dimensional stuff has been disrespected. 5,000 years of information has been disrespected. The people that work in the other dimensions, unless they are considered religious, and we know where that goes, totally disrespected. So I was trying to figure out what to wear today. Oh God, I have to go out and buy. I can't wear golf shirts every time, even though that's my favorite thing. I have not taken a lesson in golf yet. I'm going to show up with a golf club just to kind of feel less ridiculous. But I'm comfortable with the shirt. I like the color. So every time it's like, okay, what am I going to wear now? So I got this shirt. Okay, that kind of works. Okay, what do I wear in my neck? I always have my labradorite on. I'll tell you about labradorite in a minute. And then I pulled out this old necklace that I bought. It's actually a bit of a mess. It's got a big piece of amber. Okay, so amber. Amber. Oh, you can find amber that has insects that are thousands of years old in it. And you can get the DNA out of it. Oh, okay. What do you mean, okay? Our DNA is getting destroyed. They say that stuff associated with the plague is destroying our DNA. Wi-Fi, 5G destroys our DNA. This protects DNA. Well, why don't we get this, put it in water, and drink the water to protect our DNA? Yeah, but, what do you mean, yeah, but? What? What is the matter with you? The fact that there's not a patent on amber? Why do you think God put it there? Oh, look, it preserves. This is thousands of years old. Well, you know what? Our DNA is getting trashed really quickly. So I was supposed to do this formula years ago, and I didn't remember. Those spirits, I told you about those classification of spirits. There's a group of them that don't let you remember. Why haven't I produced this? I didn't remember until I put on the necklace. So it's a lot more fun than for years. And you know what, Medical Mafia, you have bigger enemies than me. So just kind of like back off, and I'm not doing anything wrong and I'm not going to cost you any money. Years ago in the 90s, people would say to me, no, my mother, went to the doctor and she's got this disease. She's got this. And, what do they say? No, it doesn't look really good. And I go, okay, so what does she have? And they'll say to me, well, she has this disease. And they'll tell me the name of the disease. And I'll go, I used to go, yeah, but what does she have? Francis, I just told you the name of the disease. I said, yeah, and I just asked you what you have. Because you see, that name is the name of a collection of symptoms. It doesn't tell you what the disease is, it tells you what the symptoms are. Oh, well, I don't know. They don't even know what organ. Most people don't know that if they have diabetes, it's the pancreas that's sick. Well, I'm not a medical doctor. I get all the organs confused, etc. But if you have a disease, I think maybe you need to know what organ got sick. And then you know what you do? You go and you look up the chakras. No, that's not stuff from gypsies and people that don't have anything better to do. Chakras are energy centers. You can call them energy centers. They've been around forever. All human beings have them. You're not going to make them go away. But if you have a disease, then it's kind of like an organ usually. And you go and you look up on the internet what energy center that organ is influenced and controlled by. And then you find out what that chakra is all about, and you will find out why you got that disease without anybody having to help you. Everything having to do with the plague, the modern plague, has to do with the heart chakra. Lungs, heart, blood pressure, blood. That's a lot of information. The heart chakra has to do with connectedness, connections. We're in the age of Aquarius and we are getting disconnected. Somebody big knows the chakra system. Somebody big knows we're going into the age of Aquarius. Somebody huge knows that if you're going to take down humans, you need to take down the influences that will make them more powerful in this new age we're entering, which is the age of Aquarius. Got to take down the heart. I'm not saying somebody planned the plague, but it is very suspicious that exactly at the time in which we're supposed to be entering this age, that we're getting blocked every which way. And I'm not accusing the government of any of this. This is bigger and above and beyond them, and bigger and beyond the medical establishment. But it is kind of interesting and kind of suspicious. But you don't even need to go there. And which is what I'm going to ask you. The paranoia isn't going to be able to help you very much. What you have to do is be willing to widen your lens, to go into what is the next system? What's going to make sense? If nobody can help me, what is it that I'm supposed to do? What is it that can help me and my kid? And I'm going to repeat again. If you're in jail, require that you spend 2 hours a day outdoors. Why don't you start doing that with your kids and your family? Well, but why don't you have a nicer backyard, or like a back porch or a front porch or a side porch? And when the weather's kind of okay, take your meal and join your family out there and eat it outside. Why don't you buy those big plastic screens that you blow up and have movie night outdoors with a projector and this big screen or up against the wall? If you have a patio, put up a big screen TV there and have everybody watch everything there. It's not so difficult. It has more to do with like an intention and then widening the lens and then getting a little bit creative. There is a a story that my friend, the Ayurvedic physician, Dr. Akhilesh Sharma, um, told me. And there was an Indian guru who taught medicine, Ayurveda, and he had a group of students. So one of his assignments was that all students had to leave and go and find one plant or one tree that did not have healing benefits for human beings. So they all left. And as the days passed, they all came back with something. They said, this doesn't have any benefits for humans. And there was only one student that never came back. And so the teacher said, what happened? Well, no, he's hiding in his house. So they went to fetch him. And the teacher said, why didn't you come? And he said, well, I couldn't find any plant or any tree that didn't have a benefit for human beings. They all have healing qualities for humans. And the teacher said, you're right. Every single plant and tree on planet Earth has something that helps human beings. And then we trash them all. And I'm going to say a story, and I don't think that the person who told me the story is going to listen to my chats, but if he does, I'm so sorry. I was talking to somebody who is in the medical profession, not a doctor, and they were talking about some information about a cancer cure that somebody had found in I don't know what jungle of what continent. And they were trying to get funding together to go to that jungle on that continent and find that particular, I think it was a fruit, and bring it back and put it in a lab and copy it. And I'm listening. I said, why don't you just get the fruit to the people who have cancer? Why are we doing the lab thing? Why are you copying it? And the person looked at me as if I had just, I mean, obviously, Francis, you just are not with it. No, I'm not. Why are we copying it? We already know that vegetables, plants, trees, everything has stuff in it that science has not been able to understand or to even see yet. Why would we think we can copy it? What happened to our logic? What happened? What have we been drinking that we got here? And the answer is the structure of power in modern times has been hierarchy. The guys at the top didn't give us permission. The guys at the top have the labs. The guys in the top have the knowledge and the money and the authority. And obviously, if there's at the top, then we have to believe them. No, we don't have to. And right now, you need to get off of that train because that train is crashing, the hierarchy thing. And you need to be your own authority. Obviously, here's the disclaimer. If you have a medical condition, go to the doctor. Listen to them and not me. Got it? Disclaimer. I said it. A lot of very interesting things that are happening are not able to be addressed by our authorities. So rather than trashing our authorities, why don't we go ahead and gain some respect for ourselves and some respect for our grandmothers and great-great-great-grandmothers and the cultures from our country, even the United States, the indigenous, the Indians? Why don't we go back and see what worked? It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier. No side effects. I'm not just talking medication, systems, practices. For that, you have to understand that we are in the age of transformation and the structure of power is transforming, no longer hierarchical, it's circular, it's community. So everything that has to do with hierarchy, the quicker that you can let go of it, the less you're going to be damaged by its collapse. We have exited the age of information and we have entered the age of transformation. What does that mean? Which is what I always say about the whole ET, do ETs exist? I've been listening to this for decades. I'm old, decades. And I keep saying, what is the problem? We already know they exist. We already know the government knows they exist. I mean, for anybody to say that they don't know is very naive. So why don't we stop with the accusations of they know and they're not telling us? There goes the whole thing. You don't trust yourself. The government has to tell you. You know that they know, but it has to come out of their mouth. And then I go, okay, now what are you going to do? They don't know what they're going to do, because not only do they need for the government to say they exist, the government now next has to tell them what to do. That's hierarchy. That's what's collapsing. Age of transformation. It's not going to work any longer. You don't want to get damaged by it. Understand the concept, widen the lens, and gain respect for your powers of observation. Can you do that? Well, you should develop your third eye. That's why the Cuban Mafia, we're going to put up the mantra in our social media, and you can join also. We're all going to be doing a mantra every day, several times a day on our own, thousands of people, that they should, that we should overcome what they're doing daily to us with black magic, which is covering our third eye. Power people know the third eye is really important. So I think I've talked a lot. I'm going to remind you that according to the military and scientists, I have the power of induction, which means that your third eye, your psychic abilities will augment the entire time that you're in my presence, whether it's on a chat, a video, in person, over the phone, or whatever. So you just got 32 minutes worth of the energy from my power of induction. But beyond that, silence helps develop the third eye. Many other things. We're not going to get into that. Let's go ahead and get into the relaxing part of this chat. I'm going to use the music, which is the one that is for the root chakra, the root energy center, which is the one that grounds you. I don't know what happened to Trump today. I don't know what happened in terms of the jury trial. But I do see what's on the news having to do with catastrophes, and I see what's in the news having to do with the unveiling of the issues with medical dishonesty, and we're not in a good place. So why am I saying this? Because you need to be grounded. You need to be rooted. And I'm going to remind you again that the Lord's Prayer, the part of the Lord's Prayer that says, that we're taught, that says, deliver us from evil, that is not what the Lord's Prayer said. It didn't say that. The Lord's Prayer, original in Aramaic, that didn't go through the Greek where they totally distorted it. Why? Who knows? The original says, help us to be in the present, which means grounded, rooted, awake and aware. What Eric Tolle talks about nonstop, present. So that's why I chose this particular music. And then I'm going to put the mantra on, which has to do with peace, because we are definitely not at peace at this point. It doesn't really matter what it is that happens in the news. We're not in a good place, and we are at war with others, and we're also at war with ourselves. So we're going to do 15 minutes of this mantra, the usual one, which will help you internally and also help the external world with the music that will get you grounded. And then my parting words on this are, you need to be protected, labradorite necklace, 24/7, green socks to get the green that is necessary to protect you from the underworld, a zillion other things. And then now we start the process of finding everything that's going to protect you internally. And you start with the garlic and MSM is pure garlic. Do you remember 20, 25 years ago, everybody was on the product called MSM, which is sulfur. It's just sulfur powder. You can get it capsules, tablets, the powder. Everybody was taking it and everybody was saying the same thing. If you say, well, what is it good for? Everything. Well, once they say everything, you go, I'm not even going to listen. But it's sulfur. And if you have any issue, there's a spirit involved. So it makes sense that anything that's pure sulfur is going to work on everything. But people stop taking it. And there we go with the spirits that make people forget. So you need to maybe trolley on over to the health food store and ask about the side effects, of which there's zero. And consider that. And then get creative, having to do with dealing with the invasion of parasites, mold, mildew, spirits internally. We're doing that. And tonight, our group is getting together. And I've asked everybody to put labradorite crystals in water from last night. And then we're going to get on the chat and we're going to start. I'm going to remote view, and everybody's going to be able to remote view people when they're drinking the water and what it is that it does for them. It's fun. You can do your own experiments. It's kind of neat. So let's go ahead and start 15 minutes of the world, not the world peace, the peace mantra, which gives you peace internally and peace externally. Okay? And let's start now. Thank you for listening. How do you feel? Let me put the red dress up. The red dress, the gold dress. How's it? Oh, looks a lot more gold and more white to me today. This is a good indicator of where your vibration is at, and your vibration determines what you're going to be living. That dress was designed and made in gold and white, and some people still see it in blue and black, which means that you can have gold right in front of you and you're not going to be able to see it. It's there. That dress is gold and white. But those of you that don't see it bright gold and white, all sorts of things, including gold in front of you, but you can't see it. It's not there for you. So your vibration, lifting it, is very important. And that's basically everything that we do here, is to lift your vibration, including giving you information about stuff that can help you if you have a collapse of a paradigm, but you already know what's coming next and what can help. It makes it easier than if you just sit in the middle of the collapse. Like, oh my God, it's all gone. Maybe we are going to be able to say, it's good that it's all gone. And maybe we can end up having a life that makes a lot more sense. I'm telling you, this whole thing with science got totally out of control. I'm sure the idea was a great idea when it started, and then it got controlled by hierarchy. And basically, it has had us by the throat. It became a religion. Anyway, another thing that you need to stay away from if you want to be able to control spirits is sugar, alcohol, drugs, sugar. In Mexico, they know so much about spirits that when they celebrate the Day of the Dead, they have banquets, tables full of sugar products and pure things made out of pure sugar that are offerings to spirits. And if you go into certain restaurants, Thai restaurants and restaurants from that part of the world, at the front door, they have candies and things that are not for the clients. They're offerings to the spirits. So spirits love sugar. And then we get to Halloween and we have our children take in the sugar, which attracts the spirits. Rather than an offering to the spirit so the spirit can get happy with us, we actually have our kids eat it. Because we didn't know, which is why you should come to our chats. Okay, I put here, in case you want to be part of, what do they call it, crowdsourcing? When you can't get a bank to give you money, and so you go to a group of people and everybody pitches in. This is crowdsourcing mantras. This is the mantra having to do with getting the Cuban mafia, who is only sustained via black magic that they've used for decades. This is not new. And they're working, because somebody from their group told me, they have somebody that every single day does rituals, cutting the heads off of animals in order to take down our ability to see them. Not just mine, but the Mantrista movement. They've been after us from day one. Okay, so we are finished. And this can be a lot more fun. And it's also very empowering to find out that you can take care of stuff and that your kitchen and other things around your house can be a source of healing. It's simple, inexpensive compared to what we have been offered in the last several decades. So thank you for joining me. And please do the mantra. The mantra is repeated in silence. We need to finish with these enemies. It's their time, their hierarchy. They don't get it, that their time is past. They are hierarchy. They're in the way of collapse, but it's been a pain in the neck having to deal with them.